It's 16 years ago today that Liverpool won in Dortmund against Alaves, won the UEFA Cup and completed the treble. Both me and John were there. We both had a great time, I think it's fair to say. But also as well, we've been talking about this one, and it seems to be forgotten a little bit almost in all the things that Liverpool have ever done. And I think as well, you know, people get a bit nasty about this competition now, don't they? Whereas when we won that, no one was complaining.
No, it was fantastic, and I think it was part of putting Liverpool back on the map in a European sense. I think in the 90s, obviously Liverpool went back in after the ban, and we struggled a little bit really. It never really kind of happened. There was one Winners' Cup semi-final where, you know, we got turned over out in Paris and nearly went back. But I think even when those things were going on, there wasn't quite that excitement there that we got when we got into the 2000s, and I'm not quite sure what that was. Maybe it was a different priority of the manager or what, and I think a bit of a different mindset of the fans as well. But I think that was really the start of Liverpool being a European force, and also I think that the rekindling of the love affair between Liverpool and European competition really. And after that, obviously it was a brilliant decade for Liverpool. 2 finals, a European Cup win in Istanbul, and generally competing every year. And I think that Julen Benitez obviously did that, and that was the start 2001 of Liverpool being seen as don't want to draw them.
Yeah, I mean, because that season not only did we win the FA Cup, the League Cup, but also the lead up to Alaves. We beat Roma, we beat Barcelona. You know, Liverpool, as John says, we're back on the map. And what we did when we went over to Dortmund, when Liverpool played them in the Europa League, we put a show together there with ourselves, Tony Barrett and Dave Rawcliffe, who does all our photos for Propaganda Photo. We had a chat about when we were last there in 2001, what it was like on the day, what it meant to us, how the final went and how we all felt really, a bit of colour around the event. And people said they liked it, it went down well, so we thought as today is the anniversary of that final, we'd put it out for free. We'd have a little chat on video first. So if you want to get involved and listen to that show, here it is.
Up to that.
Alright, we're in Dortmund. We're doing a special about the last time a lot of us were in Dortmund, which is the Uefa Cup Final in 2001. We're walking around some similar roads. We've been to the stadium today, some of us, so it's felt like a good time to reflect on it. So to reflect on it with me is John Gibbons, is Tony Barrett and is Dave Rawcliffe. Tony, I'll start with you, mate. It was the first European final for Liverpool since the ban that followed Heysel. Also as well for Alaves, it was their first European final as well. So I mean, what do you remember about the day, mate? There was a real party atmosphere in the day, wasn't there? Because, you know, there was no rivalry to speak of, there was no nastiness. It was just everyone was there to have a bevy, to have a good time, to pass the hours before we went to ground. And I think they put on a bit of they put on music, they put on ale, they put on food. There was like they made an effort in the square, didn't they?
No, I think the feeling was built up in the months leading up to the game that when Liverpool beat Roma, when Liverpool beat Barcelona, Roma was a big one for a lot of us. Liverpool going to Italy and winning 2-0, courtesy to Michael Owen goals, and then it was there. I remember that's it for being one of the great Liverpool European away trips, everything that went with it. Obviously then he beat Barcelona in the semi-finals, Gary Mack's penalty against Pepe Reina, no less. Pepe Reina with a full head of hair and goal for Barcelona that night. So, by the way, just before you carry on, because I've been dying to get this into a show somewhere, I was with you when we went to the semi for Barcelona. Do you remember how my mate and your mate Philly, do you remember how he celebrated when he got off the ground that night? No.
He hugged the letterbox. I still don't know why, but it's the only time I've ever seen a fella celebrate anything by hugging a letterbox.
He's hugged worse. It's been much worse than that. But it was, I mean, you beat Rome, you beat Barcelona, and you go into the European final. It felt like our time. For those of us who were a little bit too young to take part in Liverpool's European dominance and enjoy that, you've obviously got the ban and you've got the wilderness years that follow that, and then you've got that time that comes around and you go, here we are again, the big European final. And I think that, although everyone went on about Alaves and what a great experience it was for them to be playing Liverpool, this wasn't a Liverpool of the mid-80s, this was a Liverpool that hadn't been involved in this kind of occasion for 16 years or so. So it was a new experience for a lot of us. So the excitement that they had, we had as well. So didn't that contributed on the day to, there was a genuine, I know people talk about it and it becomes a bit tight, but there was a kind of atmosphere. we were enjoying being there, and so were they, and that just went from the minute that we got here. And the thing that a lot of people forget is, well, I think most of us remember, the downpour, we got absolutely soaked. It never stopped raining. That was the thing. You come to European Cup Final, you think it's going to be no snot. You're going to be enjoying the sunshine. It wasn't. It just absolutely last time we got drenched. But even that, we're still out in the squares. And I've got to be honest, I never went to a pub that day. Everyone's going to off licences, everyone's going to offies and getting cans and things from the street. And the German police, the credit, they allowed that to happen. Everyone was allowed to enjoy the day. And I always think that when you go abroad, and there's a lot of times the police are heavy-handed, or they don't do this or they do that and it's too much. On that occasion, they allowed us to enjoy the day, so that was all part of it.
I mean, the other thing as well, John, that I think we've got to get in when we're building up to talk about, you know, this day and this match, is that, you know, we'd already won the League Cup. We'd won the FA Cup by this point as well, hadn't we? So, you know, it'd been a mad season, hadn't it been like a roller coaster season? It was feeling like we were back, and like Tony says as well, it's sort of for a certain generation, you know, you included. It was like your first right wheel going off the European day out.
I mean, these were occasions I just watched on videos, and that was the case. You know, I grew up watching, you know, videos of European Cup finals. I mean, Cup finals generally, the 90s was pretty sparse. You know, we had beating championship level teams in 2 cup finals, and that was about it really. And you know, it was pretty sparse for kind of us growing up, and on us kind of, you know, starting to go the games, you know, with our dads and then on our own, and even when we were back in Europe, we weren't particularly good at it for a while, really. I mean, where we Davey all laughing, and you know, I know we talk about the kind of Vladimir press games he went to and stuff like that, and these teams were generally beating us because we weren't used to playing in these games. And so I mean, we had the semi-final against PSG, but we got hammered out there really, but apart from that, it was you know, you beat a couple of tough teams, and then the first good team you play, you go out in the 90s really. That was what it seemed to me. So suddenly to be in a final, it was suddenly, you know, well, I can bore my dad now. He's been boring me about going to Wembley and, you know, at 81 and all that, and suddenly I'm like, well, here we are, here's our time. And that's what it felt like for me. I was 19 and just starting to go with my mates and starting to get a little gang together who thought we were boss, you know, going everywhere, and it was like, well, this is our time, this. And as you say, the whole finals kind of fed into that really, and this felt like the one we were least nervous about, because like Tony says, there wasn't a big rivalry there, but also I was really confident.
Everyone was, mate. I remember that.
Because we're being better teams.
Yeah, I remember that as well. I remember everyone being really confident, Dave, because it was like, you know, you were looking at, no one had heard of Alaves really. Everyone looked them up, sort of thing, and were like, nah. You know, the only one I've remotely heard of here is Jordi Cruyff.
And it's only because of his dad.
Yeah, and he's not that good. I like, you know, even in the build-up on the day, it sort of felt like, you know, they were just happy to be there. I remember a lot of them, you know, wanted your scarf, didn't they, and wanted your shirt and what have you. You know, almost like they were looking for souvenirs before the game had even been played. So you sort of just assumed that we were going to go there and walk all over them, and obviously it didn't quite work out that way.
Didn't quite work out like that, but I think you're right. We all went there thinking this is going to be no problem. This is our cup. You know, we'd already got 2 cups in the bag. We went there going, this is the treble. I mean, what a game as well. I mean, we don't do cup finals badly, do we? You know, was it a golden goal or a silver goal?
Golden goal.
Is that the first time a final had been won by a goal?
No one knew. No one knew. I mean, I
think the players knew when it went in.
Yeah. Well, half of them did and half of them didn't, I think. But the shirt's worth mentioning. You mentioned that Alaves shirt. That was a really nice thing because they had every season ticket holder, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it was blue and yellow. It was a nice kit for the start. You know, that kind of Boca Juniors classic kind of strip, really. But it had every season ticket holder on the built into it. If you look close enough, you can see your own name, which is a lovely thing, really. But Dave's quite right to say, even though you had season ticket holders who had their name on the shirt, he still wanted to swap it for a Liverpool shirt, which is mad, really.
It was very much a friendly final, like you've touched on earlier. Yeah, there was no hostility. Like you say, we didn't really know who Alaves was when we went in there. They were made up to be there. We were made up to be there. For me, it was my first European final. You know, I'm like you. I grew up hearing stories about Rome, hearing stories of adventures all across Europe. And for me, they were like that far away. They were in the dim and distant past. They had no connection to me. And so for me to be at my first European final, this was my story. This was my time. And And unfortunately, I can't remember a lot about it. 15 years ago.
What I remember as well is like, you know, there was that confidence, Tony, but I think the one thing that people were, you know, because you have people are different, aren't they, about how they look at football. So you always have one in your group who'll go, well, hang on, what about this? And I've got here, if we look at, you know, how the two sides got to the final, Liverpool beat Rapid Bucharest, Slovan Liberec, Olympiacos, Roma, Porto, and then Barcelona. They beat, say that first team, Tony.
Gaziantep, Etsipor, never heard of.
They beat them. They beat Lillestrøm, Rosenborg, but they beat Inter. They beat Inter up 5-3 on aggregate, and that was the one I remember people talking about. They beat Rayo Vallecano. So what?
Would that have been Roy Hodgson's Inter at the time?
I'm not sure. You know, could have been, couldn't it? And they beat Kaiserslautern, who I remember not being mugs at the time. So there was a little. I mean, I'm saying we were going in confidence and we were all strolling there and we were all cocks of the walk, but there was a little bit of hang on.
I think the problem you've got is if you look at it now, if you play a Spanish team in the final, we all know the Spanish teams are. We all watch the Liga on Sky. We all know if it's Celta Vigo, Villarreal, or Athletic Bilbao, Sevilla, we all go tough game. Well, we know what the league is about. We know the top players. Because Alaves had come from nowhere, and all of a sudden in the European final, we didn't know much about anyone apart from Barcelona and Real Madrid. They were sort of not treated with contempt, but we had this feeling that Liverpool would turn up and beat them. But part of that though was one, the momentum that the team was on, but two, the personnel in the team. If you look through that team now, that Liverpool team, it's a very, very good side. You go from Sander Westerveld, not the best of keepers, they'll grab you that. Marcus Babbel right back, absolute top draw. You're not getting many better. Jamie Carragher's left back, Sammy Ippia, Stefan Oncho, midfield, Gary McAllister, Dietmar Mann,
Gerrard Murphy,
Steven Gerrard, Danny Murphy, Heskey and Owen.
Fowler on the bench.
You look at that and there's a lot of quality in that team. Do you know, that is not a bum Liverpool team by any means.
And there's 3 or 4 who could have got him as well.
Of course, there's Robbie Fowler's on the bench.
Schweitzer and Fowler all come on. Some Fowler obviously scores. And
I think Schweitzer scores as well, or is it Berger? It's one of the two. You said they have a little thing together.
The little pause here, by the way, is because we're dead professionals as ever.
No, neither of them score on me though.
Our agenda is on John's phone, and every now and again it goes off, and then I don't know what to talk about. I mean, one of the things I want to talk about before we get into the game itself as well, because this is an idea we've had for the show for a while, where we really sort of go more in depth on the day and the experience as much as the match. And so I wanted to ask you all about, you know, how you remember getting there. I mean, me personally, I booked mine through the infamous Barnes travel, and myself and my mate John got a coach at a ridiculous time in the morning. I think it was around it must have been about 4 o'clock in the morning. It was a double-decker bus from the Rocket to Manchester Airport, and then I remember the plane being delayed at Manchester Airport, and everyone saying they'd done it on purpose because they were manx. But I also remember as well, like basically I wasn't smoking a spliff myself, but I was basically getting stoned off the top deck of this bus, and I was like, even if you bang into your weed, 4 o'clock's an early start. You know what I mean?
It's a long day ahead of you.
We're nowhere near Manchester, and everyone was high as a kite. But I mean, what about yourselves? How did you all get there on the day?
I was Barnes travel myself. We went to Rome with Barnes in February. Me and my mate Philly, who've gone everywhere with it. As long as I can remember, we went with Barnes to Rome. So when we got to the final, that was I seem to remember the night that we beat Barcelona. We ended up in town, and
we did, yeah.
If you remember, we were in the Wonder Bar, and the police ended up shutting off Station Street.
Shut the roads out, and they had horses there.
It ended up being a street party in Station Street. But the next day, it was down to Barnes Travel, and it was like £215 for a day trip, something like that. And like you, went from the Rocket, went on I can't remember the bus journey at all. I can remember seeing you at the airport, went on different flights. It was one of those, all anyone was saying was we're meeting in the square, None of us had ever been to Dortmund, and listen, it was one of those, I'm sure I did have a mobile phone then. It was 2001, I had a mobile phone. But it wasn't the same.
So expensive, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you're going abroad, everyone's got that thing. What happens if you use my phone abroad?
You're going to get an 80 quid bill.
I can remember getting to the main square, and again it was lashing down. and people just somehow met.
Yeah, they
with
did.
No organisation, people met in that square, and it was one of those. And that was where. I can remember walking down the streets. I can remember lads disappearing into the sex shops, and at the time I was wondering what it was about, and it wasn't out of naivety. I was wondering why you're going in the sex shop, and it was only during the game that it soon became clear. I remember Jordi Cruyff taking a throw in, and all of a sudden he was bombarded with sex toys. And that's probably my abiding memory. All these dildos flying at Jordi Cruyff. So that was that kind of day. It was a laugh, and it was like that from start to finish.
I think I remember you, Nick, on a bike, mate.
I got on a bike in the main square, and I'd had a few, and it wasn't changed the wall. It tried to ride, and it didn't get very far.
Yeah, it was a funny day. I mean, I remember as well, Tony's mate Philly, we references there. We lost them.
Yeah.
We lost them, and it was quite early on in the day. And we were all panicking a little bit because we were like, hang on. And like, as you said, no mobile phones and all the rest of it. And we actually rang Gizmar.
Yeah. Got to a phone box and rang Gizmar. And you ring your Philly, see where he is.
And like, so she's them panicking as well and all this. And then we actually seen him and he ran away.
He did, yeah. He was having a good time whatever he was doing.
I think he was circling around these sex shops, to be honest. but yeah, it was a funny day. Yeah. I mean, it did seem like sort of everyone was bouncing, everyone was dead happy. I mean, I remember on the way down as well, and you know what? You're right to say there was mobile phones, because you know why? I remember that John had one, and it was like one of them first Nokias, the massive ones.
Yeah.
But like it slightly moved on from there, and everyone had got like a slightly smaller one, but he still had that. And I remember like there was this lad from Bootley we didn't know who got onto that he had this, and he went, boss, the way you've got an iPhone there, mate, but you've put a silver cover on it to try and make it look posh. And we still see that lad now when we go to the match, because it was one of them days where like you ended up drinking with whoever. You sort of made mates on the day, and you bump into them every now and again at games. And like one of the things that we've got to say about the sort of before we get to the match again is that in the square, out of the blue from nowhere, Erik Meijer's there. Erik Meijer's there wearing a Liverpool top. He wasn't a Liverpool player then, was he? He's wearing a Liverpool top. He's singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." Everyone's giving him a can, and he's just getting involved. And he's he was on loads of pictures. I've got a picture with him. I actually googled earlier, like Erik Meijer Dortmund, and like just there's loads on the internet. Loads of people got pictures with him. And he's actually coming. He's going to come again, isn't he? And we're open
tomorrow. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to tempt fate on these things, but we're meeting him tomorrow.
Yeah, we're open to meet him.
So he's going to come to the game with us, so we're going to have a laugh. But yeah, it was. I remember
Paul Dalglish was about as well. I remember.
Yeah, I remember seeing Paul.
Yeah, because I remember there was like everyone broke out into the Dalglish.
Yeah, we saw him.
He was a bit embarrassed by it, wasn't he?
Yeah, we saw Paul. We also remember we saw Patrick Barkley from the. I don't know who you will have been with then, but Sunday supplement like the party.
When we all saying that was you in the future, mate?
It was, yeah. He's baldy and everyone dislikes him. But I can remember saying to him, I said to him, "Ease you in for the pool today," and he said, "I'm not so sure, son. I think these will have something to say about that." And he was the first person that jolted me. He was the first person that I thought, hang on, he must know what he's talking about.
Who are you working for then, so?
The Mersey mat.
Were you?
I was the Mersey mat then. But everything about that day, I can remember my ma had, because we go, my ma was a big Evertonian, believe it or not, and my ma said, when you go to the European final, you've got to have a big flag. So if you're on the telly, we know where you're at. So my ma she had loads of European flags, Juventus, whoever, at Barcelona, all that. My ma stitched them all together, a big Liverpool one in the middle. And I can remember, because it lashed down, it draped it around me, and we were in the fountains, in the fountains of Beltontown. And what I didn't know, I had a brand new Lacoste short sleeve shirt on, it was like checked and all that. And the next thing, all the Zio, the flag runs into my shirt. It's one of those, whenever it comes to Dortmund, the shirt gets wrecked. But it was...
Oh yeah, because you got a story from today.
Yeah, the bird shit all over me today. And it was...
Good luck.
It was a bird that flaps, by the way, I should stress. Yeah. So it was just one of those things. But now, everything about that day was brilliant. And it's... Because it is your first European final, it's better. And because you win, it's better. And, but I always think this final gets lost, it gets forgotten.
Goes a bit, doesn't it?
Because of Istanbul, and understandably so. Because of Cardiff as well. Because of the Steven Gerrard final. there's something about this Alaves one that somehow gets forgotten.
And probably the Michael Owen ones remembered more than it as well.
Cardiff,
but for those of us who were there, it was very special. And you're right to say it was mad that everyone just ended up in the same place. I actually went out on my own because I went with Barnes as well, but I flew, and my mates were doing Barnes on the coach. And this is how young I was. My mum said, you've got exams, you can't, don't want you going on a bus for 2 days because, you're going to come back and you'll be knackered. And so Barnes did the 1 day flights as well. So she went, I'll pay the extra. But I want you to do that so you can come home and like do your work or whatever. And it was like first year university, so I don't know what the fuss is about, but I remember being on my own and I like kind of getting there and then realising, this is a bit rubbish, like I'm on my own on this bus. And like a couple of fellas must have seen me on my own good enough and said, do you want to come for a bevy with us and all that? And then so we went down and they took me to the square and we had to pay with them, and they sort of took me under the wing, which is a really nice thing to do, thinking about it, because they were having their day, you know what I mean? But they'd obviously seen, well, this lad, he seems to be like on his own. But then after about half an hour, you just see people from the Albert, which is where we drank at the time. You see people from you play footy with, and then suddenly all your mates are there, they've turned up, and when you saw the state of him, you were quite glad you didn't do 15 hours on a bus. But it was you did see everyone, and that was great. So then and that kind of, and then everybody didn't see you did in the ground because you got to walk wherever you want, which is another mad thing. That if that's on your agenda,
I was going to mention.
I think I stood in 3 different stands.
I don't think the organisation was the best, to be fair. I mean, I think
I'm sure it's come on.
We all give the Germans credit for that, don't we, as being a thing that they that they do, that they're great at. But I remember, I've still got the same as for Athens. I still got a full ticket. No one looked at it. I just walked in, and I remember. I was quite high up at first, and we must have all had phones, because I think you text me, because you were in a different bit and you went, come down here, and when I went down there, basically everyone was standing up, weren't they, at the front?
Well, there was a stand.
It was, yeah, but I think we were in the seats where everyone went and stood, and one of them. But one thing I remember about it as well, which is a bit weird being back in Dortmund now, is I went to the press conference today and obviously saw the ground again, and lucky enough to get to have a bit of a wander around when they were having a training session, and Dave was taking pictures there as well, because Dave's propaganda photo for anyone who doesn't know. And one thing that struck me then, I was thinking, this ground wasn't that big then. And so I went,
it felt like one big stand to me.
There was one big stand, but I looked it up, and it was only
57 minutes.
It was 48 and a half when we played. When we played in this 2001 final, and they get crowds as big as 81 now, but that's with standing. I think for UEFA games when standing's not allowed.
Yeah, it might have been 57 for standing.
It's 61 now, so it's but yeah, it's been done up. It's fair to say, isn't it? But what about you, Dave? What was your story, sort of getting down there?
I'm feeling a bit jealous of you boys here, because I can't remember any of
this. You don't know it?
My memories are
because you were off, weren't you? You weren't taking pictures.
Well, say I was off. Every round, you just mentioned all the teams that we beat on the way, and I'd photographed Liverpool playing home and away in every round. But I never got a pass for the final. So this was one of the few finals where I was in the stands watching, which was, it's going to sound weird to you boys, it's a weird feeling for me, because I'm not used to that. So I can't remember who I went with, but all my mates were working, they were all pitch side. So I was on my jack a bit. Although I did manage to make my way down to the press room sometime after the final, once all the players had left the pitch and there was just a bit of confetti left on there, and I did a little lap of honour myself on the pitch, pretending I had the cup, but I didn't. But I can't remember who I went with, how I got there. I'm quite jealous of all you boys.
But if we move on to the match, so I'll start with you, mate. Babel scores first, 4 minutes in. Do you remember much about that?
Was it Gareth calls a free kick, back post, Babel gets up, big header. Babel, that period then, if you go back to probably, I think he got 6 goals that season.
He was good, one.
But he produced when it matters well. He'd scored that great goal in the Merseyside derby, in the 3-2 Gary Matt derby, which was about 6 weeks before the final. And he was one of the reasons you go into a big final, you've got Marcus Babel, you've got an absolute top player there. And I always think that when Liverpool supposed to talk about top players you've had, he's one who's too easily overlooked for me, because he was obviously struck down by illness, and curtail things at Liverpool. But
it was a big coup to get him, wasn't it, at the time?
And what a player he was.
Yeah.
And he was the one who he defined. He became an attacking fullback.
Yeah.
He was an attacking fullback who gave you goals. But he also could play centre half. And he had that composure. He could bring the ball out. He could play, get involved. He could get involved higher up the pitch, crossing, getting in the box. And you look, people talk about the top fullbacks now, and you go, he had everything that those players had. And he's, I always think that, I know he wasn't with Liverpool long enough to be regarded as great, but I always think that when you talk about players who made a big impression, Liverpool, he should be ones that...
He's the best I've seen play right back for Liverpool.
Top.
Unbelievable.
So Babel, that's 4 minutes in, Babel scores that. 16 minutes in, Steven Gerrard scores.
Gerrard with a crew cut.
I was going to say he had a bit of a skinhead going on, or a slightly grown out skinhead, didn't he?
It's probably my favourite Gerrard period, really, because
that sort of boiled passion about him at that point,
he used to love scoring goals, and he scores in that, and he's just made up and he can't believe it, and I think that's great because you see feel like later on in the career he was playing a bit with his weight on his shoulders, and when he scored it was almost like, oh, thank Christ I've managed to do for the team, you know. Whereas at that point he was just like, wow, this is brilliant, I've scored for Liverpool. Yeah, then he does the gesture, come and celebrate with me, this is boss.
Come here.
And he does that little like, come here to Michael, and it's a nice finish as well, and just kind of shows his strength of just putting your foot
What's
through.
What's interesting about that as well, and interesting that you say, you know, that the sort of, he was still playing with that boiled passion. He's undoubtedly a good player at this point, but I thought what was massive, and I used to always get onto it, and me and my mate John still talk about this, because it was certain phrases that we heard that I've always stuck in our heads over the years. But McAllister used to talk him 2 games at this point.
Oh yeah.
And one phrase we heard at the match when we were together and we loved it was we just heard McAllister going to Gerrard, Stevie, squeeze. And it was just great though, and like, you know, Gerrard, you could tell, really looked up to McAllister and really took her on board. And I mean, I don't think that was always the case through his career with advice that he got, but he definitely looked up to McAllister. But yeah, it was a good goal, that. So we're 2-0 up. Ivan Alonso, 27.
Now, all I can remember is
Alonso is the free kick that goes under the wall.
That's right,
but I don't think it's that one. I think that's his second goal. He gets 2, right?
No, Moreno gets 2.
Oh, Moreno hits the free kick. See, this is how good we are.
But Moreno, everyone went on about these being unheard of, and therefore your win's not as valid. But Moreno was top scorer in the league that season. He was very good.
He gets a big move after this as well, doesn't he?
All I can remember is we were behind the goal, and there's a player on the right. So Jamie Carragher was playing left back, and the player he's up against was Cosman Conte.
And he was out to Milan
that night. He was absolutely brilliant. His cross and his move, everything about him was top drawer, and he bothered us that night. Him and Moreno were the 2 that we couldn't get to grips with. And I remember Moreno, for some reason, Moreno scored twice and then they took him off.
Went off second half.
And I remember everyone in the Liverpool end just breathed this massive sigh of relief. I can't ever remember a player in a major final who scored 2 goals and is so on top of the game being taken off. Now,
was he getting wound up? Was it that? I'm trying to remember.
I remember him going off and everyone thinking, brilliant, thank God for that. Thank God he's gone, because he was bothering Liverpool. And it's one of those substitutions. Listen, in Spain they'll have the reasons, but it's one of those for us, we just go, why they took him off?
Yeah.
So that's what score are we at now? Babel, Gerrard, it's 2-1 then. McAllister, Penn. This is 41.
Michael Owen got brought down.
Yeah. McAllister slots that. So we're leading 3-1. Am I right? Yeah. So we're leading 2-0, 3-1. So into the second half, and this is where Moreno gets involved. Scores on the 48th minute and the 51st minute, and I think this is where Westfalenstadion starts flapping, isn't it? Is this is it one of those goals where he just completely misses a cross? Am I right?
Yeah, he didn't have a good game in general.
No, wasn't particularly convinced with him, full stop.
No, he was one of those keepers, and Liverpool in general have been lucky with keepers, but Westfalenstadion was one of those who wasn't quite. I can remember him pre-season, Sammy once he kicked at the length of the pitch, and he threw at the length of the pitch, and he thought, what have we got here? But then when it comes to stopping shots, he wasn't so good. So it was
was he the one who came out with the ice on the ball?
Yeah,
was Jason on the ball. Yeah, he was also the one in Jellons and Smithtown Road when there was a shooting.
When he was just sat there, put his part of the show.
There was and he couldn't work out what was going on. He was just told, "Welcome to Liverpool, Sunday." So now he wasn't great, but
he also got very much let off the hook by the referee in the derby.
Oh yeah, when he kicked it into his back. Yeah,
Graham Paul.
I remember watching that in the sports cafe bar in Monaco. I'd gone out to do the tennis and I'd missed that weekend.
You've got a bad life, Dave.
So I'm
sat, all go down?
I remember watching that on Gladys Street.
In the bay in Monaco, all these mega yachts around you and everything, and they've got the footy on, but they haven't got any audio. There's loads of TVs but no audio, so everyone's boozing and eating and everything. So I'm watching the match, not knowing what's going on. I see him hit the ball. Was it back of Donald Hutchison, goes in the back of the net. Obviously I can't hear what's going on, no referee's whistle. I think was that for the winner?
It was.
I storm out the bar. I'm absolutely fuming. I storm out the bar. I'll go to my hotel for the next 12 hours. I think we got beat by Everton. Absolutely fuming I was. He got let off the hook big time.
So where are we with 3-3?
3-3 and then Robbie came on.
Robbie comes on, doesn't he?
Robbie should have started. That was.
I was going to say. I mean,
but ahead of who though? It's tough, isn't it? Because you've got to remember, Michael Owen doesn't start the League Cup final.
He was having a pretty brilliant.
There was all that balance and that was going on. No, I had a great season. I think he got 22 goals.
But I mean, I was looking at this before, and I was trying to remember, and I couldn't quite remember because I never can. But when did they start to fall out, Fowler and who?
It was around that time, was it?
Yeah, I think exactly it was. Because I mean, if you look at the way he celebrates that goal, he celebrates it almost faux arrogantly, almost, doesn't he?
But to say
great goal.
The goal was being slalom running from the left hand side. And then it was his right foot, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was his right foot.
And then he just does that boss celebration where it's just like.
And I remember thinking,
more like me.
What a goal to win a cup final! What a goal! And everyone's made up to it was Robbie more than anything. The Liverpool lad in the ground, you see a Liverpool lad come on in the European final, score a goal like that, and you know he's going to be the match winner. And that was what. When Jordi Cruyff, you might remember this. When Jordi Cruyff scored from the corner in the 89th, 90th minute. The defending for that corner was some of the worst you'll ever see. Never mind, it's such a crucial point in the game, but the worst you'll ever see in any game. The corner comes in, he ends up putting it in the back of the net. I remember sulking, absolutely, because it cost Robbie the winner, because it cost us you don't know where it's going to go at that time. You think they just scored that late on, we're going to lose this. And I remember sulking for it until we got the winner.
Yeah, it was the Fowler goal I was behind the goal for, which is what we were talking about, because I was in the stand, because we flew with Barnes as we got the posher seats, so we were in the stand on the side, and then so I was there till 3-3, and then it must have been in extra time. I thought, sod this, I'm going to go behind the goal. So I was behind the goal, and it was a standing area for the Fowler goal. So I just remember going berserk for that because I had the space to do so. But yeah, it's certainly the last time I've swapped stands between full time and extra time.
When it went to extra time, were you acutely aware that it was going to be goal?
No.
Yeah,
I wasn't, and there was loads around me who didn't have a clue.
No.
I think I remembered knowing that it was going to be a goal, but when it went in, I wasn't sure, and I don't think the players were.
I only knew because
there's loads before that happens, by the way.
No,
there's 2 red cards.
No, for them, yeah. I only knew because going into the ground with my mate Philly, he found a package, and the package was full of programmes, and everyone knows the price of European final programmes, and he found this parcel, so we all got a programme, and the programmes got whacked out, but in there it said golden goal. It was one of those that was how I knew it was golden goal, but most of the people in the ground didn't know that was how it was going to be settled.
But I mean, extra time was mad. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, and yes, again, my failing memory didn't offer this to me when I was thinking about this game. I didn't remember 2 red cards. I remembered 1.
Well, the second one comes.
The second one's for what the goal that wins it, isn't it?
So it kind of gets forgotten, does it?
Foul on Smeechy, that one. Smeechy or smash for the lad got a second booking.
And then McAllister puts the cross in, and the lad gets a touch, doesn't he?
No, it was a cross. It was the free kick from that.
Delphi Gelly.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Delphi Gelly.
Scores.
Own goal, golden goal.
Considering they've only got 9, he does well to get his head.
That's 3 minutes before it would have gone to to pens.
Not like us to go to pens, though, was it?
Do you remember afterwards as well, Tony? I thought afterwards was quite funny. Obviously, there was the huge, it's like a huge pause. This is why I knew loads of people, like Dave as well, obviously referencing it there. Loads of people didn't know it was the golden goal. Loads of people were looking at each other, and there was sort of half pockets of fans going nuts. Pockets fans go, come on, back in and all this, and it was like, we've won it, you know, we've won it.
That never happened, so nobody knew how to react to it.
It was dead mad. It was dead mad. I remember, like, loads of people looking at it, and is it? Have we won? Are you sure? And then, like, you turn around asking some lad you don't even know and all that, and then eventually, like, there's too many people going nuts. But even the players didn't seem quite sure.
There's a story that Hooley says where, like, you know, one of his coaches is screaming at them to, like, you know, get into shape, and he's like, nah, we've won. Yeah. Well, John F. Hooley doesn't go, nah, we've won, but you know what I mean? Like, whatever the French equivalent is of that, but once we had one, it was, you know, great celebration, and that you'll never walk along with the players do in front of the pitch. It's really special. I mean, I'm quite sentimental and cheesy, really. Like, I love all that, but that was a really nice moment because you could see the players were into it. Yeah. And I remember Berger Speaker again, to mention them, just beaming, and a lot of the lads were, and that was a really nice moment because of all we've been through that season, really, and all the highs and highs, really, that Tony mentions.
Do you remember, like, did we get kept in, or did we just stay in? I can't remember.
I've got no recollection of after that, except for the players lining up singing.
I remember being in the grounds.
I got on a bus and it took us to the airport.
I remember being in the grounds for quite a while afterwards, for whatever reason. And because what I do really remember that clearly is the people who'd been commentating came down from the box, and to get wherever they were going, to, you know, in safety of the stand or whatever, they walked across the front to the Liverpool fans, and two of the people was Alan Hansen, who got like huge applause and everyone singing jockey and well in lads and all that, and then Lawrence walked across, and it wasn't quite the same welcome for him. I think he got a flag thrown over his head. But I remember getting off as well. When we got off, it was all quite nuts, because we talked about earlier about sort of the German organisation around the day, and how it was great about the square was sorted and the police were quite, you know, they were all right, they let you get on with it, they let you go and get ale from offies, and they weren't bothered. It was a bit turned on its head, I thought, when we were going, because they couldn't wait to get rid of you, could they? I mean, I've never ever been anywhere for anything, including, you know, footy, anything, where they just basically go, not going to bother with customs or checking in or tickets or passports. We're just going to drive your coach onto the tarmac, and then the rest is up to you. And that's what they did. They drove the coach onto the tarmac at the airport, and there's just all these planes lined up, and there was literally lads climbing steps going, all right mate, are you going to Liverpool?
I was 100% true. That to be an experience that early on in that competition, when we played in Rome in the February, there was we're all in the airport. I can't remember whichever the two obviously, but whichever airport we were at, it was the military airport it was known as, and someone set a fire extinguisher off in the airport, a well-known Liverpool fan who remained nameless, and when the extinguisher went off, the riot police all stormed the thing. We all got forced out onto the tarmac, and there's planes taking off around your ears. Honestly, you've never known nothing like it. So that was that kind of thing. We were on the tarmac, actually on the runway, and you just get on your plane and go. But in Dortmund, it was different in the sense that there wasn't any fire extinguishers. We weren't forced, but we were just put on the runway. Yeah. And it was that thing where you went up the steps and on any plane. We come back, we didn't fly with Air France, but we flew back with Air France.
And you blagged in first class?
I got in first class. And first class was upstairs. That's right for
an amazing journalist.
First class was upstairs. It was an upstairs on a plane now. They didn't knew they had upstairs on planes. You went up, and I remember there was a lad out at school who had been school, who'd paid to go first class. He looked at me, what are you doing here? And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. But we got flown back first class to Manchester. And it was just that surreal thing. I remember getting back to Manchester, and again the coaches were there, and we got driven back to the Rocket then, and it was that thing we got back about 3:30, 4 in the morning, maybe a bit late than that. It was light, and it was genuinely light, and it was that You know, you're exhausted, but you're exhilarated. And I had an exam that morning. I had an exam. I had a journalism exam that morning. I don't know how I got through, but everyone was in the same boat. Lads were going to work. Lads are getting off planes, getting on coaches and going straight to work. But it was all worthwhile. It was all worthwhile. Not just because the result makes everything worthwhile, because of the day you had.
Yeah. No, it's one you still talk about, and that's one of the reasons we've done this show, because just thought it'd be nice to get around the table and have a chat, because me and Tony was together, obviously. Johnny and John. I was with Johnny. John Gibbons was there. Dave was there. Dave, you haven't got to tell your story here, mate.
It's not much of a story.
Oh, you say that?
I mean, you may as well tell it now.
Oh, you're picking it up now.
Dave's got a claim to fame from this day. Go on, Dave.
It was half time in extra time, so I go for a slash, and the guy standing next to me at the urinal is Chris de Beer. That's my little claim to fame.
Lady in red.
Chris de Beer.
So there you go.
And I don't think he'd like you hearing you say it wasn't much of a story.
Well, I hear he tells that story very often. He met me.
The day he had to piss next to Dave Rawcliffe. I'm sure he talks about it every day. Hopefully you thought all that was worthwhile. I certainly enjoyed recording it, and thanks to John, thanks to Tony, and thanks to Dave. Let us know what you think, because this is an idea that's been kicking around for a while, to talk about games in this way rather than just sort of analysing the match, getting into the day a little bit more. So if you enjoyed it, as ever, give us the feedback, and thanks very much. Cheers.